Hey, what's up YouTube? It's King Vita here, and I'm back with another review. This time, I'm reviewing the D-Arts Wargreymon. So, there is Wargreymon, and before anything, we'll take a quick look at the packaging, as always. So there is D-Arts. There's Wargreymon right there. Move the camera a little higher. There you go. There's Wargreymon right here. It says Wargreymon, Digimon Adventure, and a bunch of stuff I can't read. Copyright. D-Arts right there. On the side, you have Tamashii Nations, Facebook, Twitter, yada, yada, yada. I have no idea what that says. On the top, you have D-Arts and a bunch of, I don't know, zeros, ones, art. It's, oh, cool. It says D-Arts backwards. Kind of like a computer of some sorts. Then you have different crests right there. There's a crest of courage. Coming out to the other side, you have Wargreymon right there. It says Wargreymon here. You can revive impressive scenes with a lot of joint and ultimate modeling. It says D-Arts right there. And the box is in red. I like it. It's a see-through box. Wargreymon down here. Right there. And that's pretty much it for the packaging. There's your obligatory product shot right on the back. With a bunch of stuff that I can't read. Can do that, can do this, can do that. That's basically it. So, moving on to Wargreymon himself. There he is. Now, I do like the way he is. I like the way he's made, actually. To be honest. Come on. There you go. Lift this up. There you go. I like the way he's made. He does have quite a bit of articulation, to be honest, but we'll get into that later. We'll show you what he comes with. This right here. This is his Terraforce, or, yeah, there you go. That's what it's called, the Terraforce. And if you zoom in just a little bit here, quite an impressive detail for such a small figure, for such a small attack right there. That's cool. And it's done in this reddish, goldish orange. So that's cool. It even has the, I don't know if you can see it right there, that little square thing here, which goes with this little squarey thing here. And that's for him to actually hold. That's actually molded in so that he can hold it. And I'll show how that works off a little later in the video. But moving on to Wargreymon right here. So this is the star of this review here. There he is. So, Wargreymon is obviously a Digimon from Digimon Adventure. And D-Arts really, really nailed it out of the, what do you call it? Knocked it out of the park. Yeah, there's the word. They knocked it out of the park with this one. This is a great looking figure. Let's move in a little closer here. All around, very nice figure. Very cool. Got the Crest of Courage right there. Very shiny. So, there is Wargreymon. Besides, I guess you can call these accessories. I guess you could call these accessories because they do come off. You can actually take his big claws thing. I don't know what they're called. The claw gauntlets. You can take them off, actually. So they count as accessories, I would assume. Unless the only accessory you count maybe would be this here. But, it's pretty good for what it is. For articulation-wise, this, to be honest, this right here, this gauntlet likes to do that, stay flimsy. It doesn't really like to stay on at all. Don't know why, but okay. But either way, articulation, his head is on a ball joint. There you go. His head is on a ball joint. His arms can do a full 360. But because of these right here, he can't really move them all the way. But these are also articulated as well. They can go back, forward, and they can go all around. His shoulder bits are a separate piece. They're connected to his shoulder. But they move independently. His bicep, he has a bicep swivel. He has a double jointed elbow. Okay. He has his arms, his hands, my bad, can move. And this is a separate piece. His attacks, the thing he attacks with is a separate piece. Okay. He has a ab crunch right there. His waist, he has two articulations, one in his waist and one in his ab crunch thing. Because if you look over here, move his hands up like he's having a party. Whee! Okay, so if I zoom in, his abs move, but so does his waist. If I stay this still and rotate this, see? So he has double joints there. His waist could do a full 360. So can his abs. These little, put your hands back down. These do pop off. These do pop off. They are connected to a ball joint right there. Right there. And these do have these little circular tabs so that you can just pop them back off. I mean, pop them back on. There you go. Where was I? His waist, like I said, could do a full 360. These things move as well. his moves. Yeah. And his legs can go forward. They can go back, outward. They're on a ball joint. His knees bend, and you get a bit of toe pivot here. This entire foot is on a ball joint. This entire foot is on a ball joint. It's double jointed, actually. You can move it like this. You can move it back. It's articulated here. Here up top. And here connecting to the foot. So it does have options for pivot. It can do that. And it can swivel. Because it is on a ball joint. As you can see right there. So yeah. This guy has quite a bit of articulation. And a lot of articulation, to be honest. Very nice. Very nice figure. Kind of flimsy. But it's not a deal breaker. I like it. I really like this figure. One other thing he can do, as I've mentioned before, but it is a little tricky to do. It is extremely tricky to do. Come on. Fix his foot. There you go. Fix his foot. Okay. See these gauntlets here? As I've mentioned, they're a separate piece. They're all flimsy. They can be taken off, but it's a little difficult. There you go. Okay. Now his hands are, they connect, they're in a ball joint, but they connect really weird. If I zoom in here, you'll see what I'm talking about. The ball joint, there you go. The ball joint looks like this, and it's cut in half. That means there's another ball joint that goes in. There's a little, I wouldn't say a hinge. It's right here. There you go. It's a tiny little peg right there that pegs into the side of this ball joint here. That's why it's cut into two. That's why it's cut in half. As you can see, this half is here, right there, but then this side doesn't exist. That's to peg. As a matter of fact, there's a hole there so you could peg it. So that's a very, very weird way to, that's the very first time I've ever seen a figure that has that, that is created like that, you know, like, where, like, the ball joint is cut into two and you have to, like, place it back. I don't know, it's weird. But either way, that's his, that's how it works. Let me pop this back. It is a little tricky to do because there you go. So, like I said, you can make him, you can, I don't know, you could think that he's battle damaged or something and take one of his gauntlets off. I don't know, you could do that. Let's take a look at his gauntlet. Now that we're here. His gauntlets, there you go. His gauntlets have like this shiny chrome finish on his claws. And yeah, his claws. And his hand goes right through here. In there. And the only thing stopping his hand from, this gauntlet from falling off basically, is this little piece of plastic here. Now, this little piece of plastic is kind of flimsy, at least on mine, but I'm sure this is extremely sturdy. And this little plastic is the only thing keeping this from completely falling off his hand, as you can see here. Okay? This is the only thing that keeps it on his hand. Without this, this thing would just fall. But yeah, these are his weapons, his gauntlets. And I'll show you something else he does have for weapons. Zoom out. And the way to put it back is very simple, or kind of frustrating actually. You want to do the exact same thing. You want to push this little thing, this little part right here, as I've said, is very flimsy. So it allows for, it kind of bends down so that you can actually put it back on his arm. However, there's a problem. These little parts here, these little belt looking buckle things here, they extend the arm a bit too much than it should. So it's very hard to fit through this gap right there. I don't know why it was designed like this. Come on. Come on. Don't do this to me now. Come on. Oh my God. This is a real pain, actually. You kind of have to wedge, this hand in this hole here, but it's extremely difficult once you actually take it off. Come on. This is extremely hard, to be honest. And he is a bit of a flimsy toy, so expect a lot of things to break. Expect a lot of things to break. See, just like that. Come on, you. I wonder who designed this toy like this, to be honest. They should have just made this. They should have just made this a ball joint and this the peg so you could just peg it on. But for whatever reason, they thought this would be better. There you go. Finally. There you go. That's better. Finally, I did it. Either way, that is one annoying feature about this toy. Good thing I caught all of that struggle, and you probably had a lot of fun watching me struggle on camera. But yeah, if there's one thing I don't like about this is this, that the way these gauntlets are made to fit his hand, as you just saw me struggling. And like I said, these are on ball joints right there. So if they fall, you can just peg them back. So that's basically it for Wargreymon, to be honest. I do like the detail, though. I do like the detail that he comes with. Outside of the armor itself, where you have silver and gold. For example, the legs, if you look at the legs, let me zoom in here. If you look at the legs right there, you see a lot of really good molded in detail, like the muscle structure, the bicep here as well. And the tricep. That looks very good. You know, for a figure that is pretty flimsy, and the way that they made this, it's not bad, actually. They even added the molded in detail on his armor. Well, there you go. They even added the molded in detail on his armor. Right there. See those lines? There, here, there. And right here on his head, it's the square thing. Also the black lining on his horns, his hair. Go back here. That's a very cool molded in hair. Zoom out. Very nice. His eyes are not painted in. Well, they are painted, but they're molded in actually to the mask, to the head itself. If you could see this a little closer. There you go. See, they look like they're painted, which they are. But they're molded into the head. They're part of the head, just like the mask. The mask is part of the head. You cannot remove the mask. As you should, because Wargreymon doesn't really remove his mask in the anime, so removing it would be pointless. But either way, other side here, so you can see. Very nice molded in detail. All around the figure. So yeah. Now, also, one thing to note. If you're a collector, and if you like Digimon, you totally should buy these. But keep them away from children. Keep these away from kids. Because, you know, it goes without saying that the kids will probably destroy these figures faster than you can say, oh my god. But also they're very dangerous. These little spiky things, they're, you know, these, the things he attacks with, although mine is a little messed up because the middle one is a little pushed down. I don't know. But these little spiky things here, they can cause some damage if a kid plays with them. They're very dangerous, so if you have kids, you know, you might wanna watch that. Again, this toy is actually very good for playing with, but at the same time, I mean, I use it to collect, like I do all my figures, but these figures are, at least mine anyway, is a little flimsy, and I don't know, the plastic, it's good plastic, I'll tell you that, but it's not made to play with. It's meant to collect, because I would imagine that this figure would break over time. You know, if you're constantly playing with this figure, I would imagine this is the type of figure that would break over time. So you might want to keep an eye out for that. Now they do have a different version of this figure. Now that I remember, they do have a different version of this figure. They have, I think, two different versions of the same figure, or 3 different versions. They have this one, which is the original version. This is the first release. Then they have another one, which is, it's basically the same mold, same everything, except it's a completely different repaint. Well, it's not that different. The gold is a little darker, and the protection, the silver parts, like the helmet, the chest, the knee joints, everything, not the knee joints, the knee guards, or the feet guards, are in a completely, they're painted in a completely different silver. So much so that they actually added a dark lining to the silver to give it more shadow effect. Same thing with the arms as well, and the orange on his legs. On the other figure, it's a lot darker. They painted it a lot darker, and they gave it more of a shadowy look. And they have another version of this figure, which is Black Wargreymon. You can tell this figure is pretty popular. There are already 3 figures using the same mold have come out. The Black Wargreymon is what you would expect. I mean, this is silver. This, instead of being gold, it's black, black, black. The skin, instead of being orange, this orange here, right there, it's more of a grayish look to him. So yeah, there are basically 3 molds to this figure. There's the original, there's the re-release, and there's a Black Wargreymon version. I'm pretty sure there are more, but those are the ones I've seen. Now, for his weapon, as I mentioned before, which I never actually got to show off, this here is his Terraforce, right there. And as you can see here, the Terraforce is his attack. I don't know what it's called in in Japan, but here in the US, I don't know, the version I saw, they called it Terraforce. And he also has another one which doesn't really come with this figure. It's Poseidon Force, which is, if anyone ever seen Digimon Evolution, which is like a complete computerized cartoon of Digimon, he uses Poseidon Force, which is this same thing except blue, and he uses water instead of earthy fire materials. Let's take a closer look at this attack here. There you go. There you go. Okay, so right here, this is a Terraforce, and it looks pretty cool. It looks like a very cool attack, to be honest. It does have a peg here, as you can see, the straight part here, and here as well. And that don't let this fool you. These don't peg into anything. Nothing at all. They're just there. And the way to do this is, go back. You want to push his arms up like that. Okay? There you go. Trust me, they don't peg into anything. They just sit there. And you kind of have to take these parts right here, as I've mentioned, and kind of wedge them onto these weird looking holes on the side. Either one works. So what you want to do is take this part. What you want to do is take this part here, as I've mentioned before, these right here, and you basically just plop here and there. Again, they don't peg into anything. They just sit there. Boy, whoever designed this was really, he was a genius, wasn't he? Dude, the guy was such a genius. Of course, I'm being sarcastic here. And that's how it's supposed to look. Like he's launching a Terraforce. He's launching his attack. I mean, that in itself could look like a cool statue. But because of the whole flimsiness, it doesn't work. And his arms, one arm is pushed more back than the other one because of the weight that this tiny little ball gives. So yeah, that's his Terraforce. That's his Terraforce. So that's how that works. Okay. There you go. Now, for comparison, time for the comparison. Yay! Comparison. Okay. Here he is with Bumblebee. And he's just slightly taller than Bumblebee. Here it is with Transformers Generation, Shockwave. As you can see there. But Shockwave in itself is, he's a pretty big figure anyway. Check out my review on that if you haven't. So there's that. And here he is next to a can of Sprite. Don't ask why I have a bunch of Sprite. I do. I like these cans. They have sayings. But yeah, there is how big Wargreymon is. So there you go. Overall, he's a very solid figure. I gotta say, very, very solid figure. And I definitely recommend I most definitely recommend Wargreymon, you know, so you can buy him. I got mines at Amazon. I'm not really sure. I'm not 100% sure where you can get these figures. At all. Again, these are... I got these figures at Amazon, but right now I'm checking on them. And if you can get them, I would totally recommend them. However, I cannot recommend these figures, you know, to most people, because right now these figures are going for outrageous prices on Amazon. If you can get it and you have money to spare, and you know this kind of stuff is nothing to you, by all means go get it. This is a great figure. And he's kind of flimsy, but that's not due to the way he's made. That's due to all this... I get it, it's screen accurate, but all this junk on his back and all this junk on his hands and legs, they kind of make him flimsy. But especially because of these. See, they just do that. But because of, you know, the way this figure is made and just the amazing amount of detail, I would totally recommend this figure. But again, it's not like, you know, it's not like most of you guys are multi-billionaires or something and can probably spend a few couple $100s on a figure. I would by any means never ever recommend you guys buy something that'll break your wallet. You'll put a hole in your pocket. No, by any means never. But this is a great figure. I most certainly love this figure, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, if you can hunt one down and buy it for a cheaper price, I'd say go for it. Definitely go for it. Be mindful of the loose joints and yeah, but it's good to keep in a collection. You know, it's good to just, I guess, play with. But as I mentioned before, this is more of a, to me, this is more of a collector's toy. But hey, if you want to play with it, sure, go ahead. This is great for kids, you know. Kids don't care if the toy breaks or anything. They could just buy a new one. But again, I would recommend more to this for a collector because of the price tag. If the price tag was a little low, yeah, sure, but not so much now. Yeah, that's basically it for this figure. I will review a lot more than just Transformers, as I've mentioned before, so be on the lookout for other great figures like this one on my channel. And I'll be back again real soon. Right there. So, there is D-Arts Wargreymon. And this is King Vita saying laters.